Today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Zerg versus Protoss on Acropolis. Spawning here in the bottom right hand corner of the map and playing with the blue Zerg drones. From South Korea, we're looking inside of the main base of Rogue. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Protoss probes playing under that Barcode nickname. Also, of course, from South Korea, we have none other than Trap. Two very strong players amongst the very best in their respective race. Now, I wanted to go over the reasoning of the Barcode nickname really quickly, because lately we've actually gotten a lot of new viewers, a lot of new subscribers to the YouTube channel. So first off, thank you so much for supporting me directly and for watching my stuff. I appreciate that. But anyways, I've seen a couple of people ask, Loco, why are they playing under a nickname that's just a bunch of lines? What's going on there? Well, basically, if you have a look at the Grandmaster League ladder, especially over in the South Korean region, you'll notice that pretty much, I would say like half to maybe 3/4 or so of the Grandmaster League ladder is players playing under that so-called Barcode nickname. Now, the reason for it is quite straightforward. Basically, they're trying to hide their identity. Now, there's this weird, like, badge of honor, like this weird flex, where some of the pro gamers, like, for example, Rogue, like to ladder under their actual, like, official name. Usually, they will have, like, a second, maybe even a third, or, like, a fourth account. That's also in Grandmaster League. That's also a Barcode nickname, just to hide identities and to make sure that they don't face off with their best strategies against opponents that they will be facing off against in the near future in a tournament. Now, personally, and there's been a lot of discussion around this, right? Like the Barcode nicknames in general. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. Now, I'm guilty as well. I used to play under a Barcode nickname for a little while, just because I saw a lot of people do it, and I was streaming a lot, and, I still do, obviously, and I figured, you know what? I don't want to get stream sniped. I don't want people watching the stream while I'm playing against them at the same time. I'll go ahead and play under a Barcode nickname. But Rotterdam actually brought up a good point, I think about a year or so ago at this point, that the StarCraft ladder is a pretty lonely place as it is. I mean, most of the community in StarCraft happens, well, really outside of the game, right? We see a lot of community, obviously, on Team Liquid and on Reddit and on Twitch and, all of those kinds of places. But the game itself is a little bit lonely, and the whole Barcode situation, generally speaking, doesn't really help out in that regard. Now, obviously, at the tippity top of the skill level, most of these pro gamers will know each other, but if you're playing in, like, I don't know, anywhere below the tippity top of the skill level, you may want to go ahead and rename your account just to make it a little bit more personable, right? Like, I like it when I know that my opponent in the previous game is the same one as I'm facing off against right now. I mean, right? Then we get some best of 3 situation going on, and it just makes it a whole lot more interesting, and we can change the strategies up, and it just makes the game more fun, and we obviously recognize the nicknames maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a few years down the line as well, and we realize how good we are in comparison to other nicknames. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Barcodes sometimes can make the game a little bit less exciting. Anyways, very standard opener right here from both players. It's gonna be Trap going for the Twilight Council and that robotic facility, and of course that means that the Dark Shrine will be added on here as well. He will be going across the map with a Prism really soon, and then obviously he can warp in a couple of Dark Templar and put the Zerg player on his toes. Now, generally speaking, it's not really expected for Protoss to do any kind of lethal damage. Obviously, it's one of those builds that on paper can certainly deal a lot of damage, but it's one of those things where Zerg is gonna have to respond in kind. Now, usually, if you want to deal with this using Overseers, you're going to have to start up that, this is actually going to be a little close. Usually, you want to start up the lair at about 335 at the latest. If Protoss executes their build order perfectly, basically the Dark Templar can arrive, I think about 420 or so is when they arrive, and usually that's going to be the time where you need to have an Overseer out. Now, I think with this lair timing, it's going to be a little bit late, but we'll see exactly what goes down here. I mean, I'm not gonna doubt Rogue. Obviously, this is one of those map-dependent things as well, so maybe he knows just by judging the positioning right here of that robotic facility, as well as just the size of the map and the time that it takes to go across, that he's going to be fine. There's also this weird thing of mutual respect. Oh, I love this, actually. The 2 Adepts also brought across here, but there's also this weird thing with mutual respect where a lot of Protoss players don't even try and use the Dark Templar anymore. They just simply morph them into those Archons immediately. So we'll see here what goes down. Well, you know what? I think Rogue is right. The lair does finish up here. He's going to be able to go for an Overseer at home, and that should be just barely in time while these Dark Templar do indeed morph in. That's a real close call, man. Usually 335 is the latest I recommend people to go for the lair. Yeah, this is actually not ideal. Okay. Well, I mean, it's only a couple of seconds. Little bit of lost mining time here. I love the fact that he decided to bring the adepts in as well. That's really cool. You know what? This is actually hurting quite a bit. So, these are the mediocre or the minor details we're talking about, right? He started off his lair at 340 rather than 335. Ah. Anyways, that's where you know you've arrived at very high level StarCraft, when every single detail matters. Now, honestly, though, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, that was really good defense for Rogue. I mean, yeah, he lost himself a couple of workers and some mining time and whatnot as well. Very, very insignificant, though. So, double evolution chamber right now is a follow-up. He got himself about 8 roaches here for the time being. Very solid. And obviously now those Dark Templar, they come in as the glowy boys. They're going to be able to morph into those Archons, and it's going to keep the Zerg player pinned back for the time being. Now, with that Zerg player pinned back, we see Trap transitioning towards that third Nexus. He's already going for a shield battery as well. Very conservative play here in general. Now, transitioning towards, of course, that Immortal-based style. Also getting himself the charge upgrade. Very, very important. And, well, I wouldn't really be surprised if there's, you know, not a lot of eco damage that will come out of this anymore. Still 2 queens, though. Really nice. I mean, certainly giving the advantage right here to Trap. Trap is one of those players... Ooh. Alright, nicely done there. Trap is one of those players where I feel like he's oftentimes overshadowed by some other Protoss players. But he's really, really, really good. I don't know, at least that's the feeling I'm getting. Like, I'm always genuinely impressed with his play, but I feel like not a lot of people talk about him. Maybe he needs to win a couple of tournaments, right? And then we'll see what people talk about. But you heard it here first, okay? You heard it here first. Trap, I think he's genuinely one of the best Protoss players in the world. He's so solid. Doesn't really have a weakness. Just really, really strong. I believe he's still in GSL code S right now as well, so curious to see if he maybe can pick up one of those this year. That would be incredible. Much deserved at the very least, but we'll see. Anyways, it's gonna be Roaches and Hydras here for the time being. Now, normally, if you want to go for a Hive, you'd start up the Infestation Pit right about right now. This doesn't really... Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, like, this doesn't really strike me as a build, though, where you want to get too aggressive with just Roaches and Hydras. I mean, ending the game with Roaches and Hydras against someone of the caliber of Trap, it's just not gonna happen. You know, like, he's gonna defend that with ease. So it's instead gonna be that Lurker Den. Now, there's 2 ways you can approach this, right? If you want to play the macro game. You either go ahead and go up towards the Hive and go with Brute Lords, or you go for the Lurker Den. Now, was this scouted? It was not. Okay, so that hallucinated Phoenix did not see the Lurker Den. Okay, we'll see. Ooh! I see 6 Dropper Lords morphing in right now. I don't know if you want to get too aggressive. Yeah, nice pickup actually right there on that sentry. I mean, I said that Trap wasn't going to take any damage here. I'd be very surprised if he does, to be honest. Maybe this is just to force that Warp Prism back home. To force him to warp in a couple units. Anyways, let's talk about this for a little bit, right? So there's 6 Dropper Lords ready to move across the map. I can't help but notice that there's also that Lurker Den. And you know what? With this Zerg army out on the map... Oh, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to force that Prism home, but also trying to force any scouting information home as well. Here we go! The Overlords are dropping off, or are rather loading up, and they're gonna drop off, I think, inside of the main base here of the Protoss player. Now, the question is, will this be scouted? The Dark Templar once again moving in. That one not getting a whole lot done. The one over at the 4th also not getting a whole lot done. And, well, whew, these Archons and Immortals were extremely close to seeing this. Rogue is going to be able to get a Doom drop-off inside of the main base of Protoss completely uncontested. I think that means that the rest of the Zerg army is going to move on over towards the 3rd base as well. Smartly, a couple of Immortals are left behind. One of the forges already gets killed. Not a whole lot of damage being done just yet. It all comes down here to the defense. Now, there are High Templar here available. Hydras obviously absolutely gets shut down very easily. And you know what? You know what? Really clean defense here by Trap. Yeah, he lost the forge. That's painful. He was very close to scouting that in the first place. Not very common to see this kind of build anyways. But I think all things considered, that could have gone way worse. That could have gone way worse. Okay, now it's also that Hive coming up. Now, Protoss, yeah, okay, I was gonna say, he's transitioning right now towards additional Immortals, but he needs something a little while later into the game as well. Ooh, you know what? He's morphing in Lurkers right now, Rogue that is. I think he maybe wants to go ahead, or maybe wants to go ahead and do another drop once again. Oh, we see these Archons and Immortals holding the front door, right? It's so tempting to just move all of your defenses into the main base right now. A couple of Stalkers still hanging out there as well, but... Well, he needs to be careful. Once again, oh my god. This drop is coming back in for more. And this time around, it's Lurker drops. If you can get Lurkers right over there, good luck trying to get into your main base. At the same time, we do see a bit of a Zealot warp in several different angles. These Stalkers, they're gonna notice it pretty late. There we go. The Overlord cloud will be spotted, but the Stalker's not quite in position to shut any of this down. And there we go. Having those Lurkers burrowed underground, very, very scary to fight into as well. Now, great storms immediately do go down. At the same time, we see a Zerg army making its way over towards that newly acquired 4th base. Storms do land on the majority of that Zerg army, but the Lurkers still remain. And I don't see any detection here right now. There's no detection available here for Trap. He's at the same time also microing against his army over at the 4th base too. He needs to get an observer up here. Otherwise, the main base is gone. Looks like the 4th base will hold on for now. 15 probes already have gone down. Observer being chrono boosted out of that robotics facility. Looks like the Zealots for the time being, at the very least, are loaded into the prism. And while eventually this will be cleaned up, that's still a good amount of damage that's being done. Well, I say that. No, 2 more Dark Templar also do get picked off, and Rogue is gonna continue being a nuisance here for just a little while longer. Wonderful play here. Now, do we have a Great Aspire yet? I don't see a Great Aspire anywhere. Okay, that would have been sick, right? If he would have been able to go for, like, the 1-2 punch. Because right now he's forcing out a ton of Immortals and a ton of Archons and a ton of High Templar. If they have, like, one natural enemy, it's gonna be that Brute Lord army, right? This is a great timing, though, for Trap. He's probably expecting that there might be Brute Lords on the way. A couple of burrowed Lurkers here on the left-hand side of the map, but he's probably expecting Brute Lords are on the way. It's not the case in this match, but it does mean he's got free reign of the map. He needs to finish up that hatchery, though. I don't know. Maybe he wants to do so on his way out. Lurkers, though, are going to be able to pick up that Nexus on the left-hand side. Once again, massive storms are being utilized. And you know what? Trap has found himself in a position of this game where he realizes, wait a second. If you've been investing so much into those drops, right, and you didn't really get too much done, I'm probably going to be able to do a really nice push up towards your main base. Still, though, maybe the reason why this push is not likely to kill the Zerg here is because we didn't see that switch towards Brute Lords. I mean, if this would have been an investment right now into a Great Aspire, and then obviously the Spire as well, and then also the Corruptors and all that, maybe, oh my god, that's a big pickup, but maybe there wouldn't have been enough Lurkers here to hold on to the top end of the ramp. Still, I'm not sure if that's the case. Oh, that Observer is absolutely critical. Oh, yeah, no, it did get picked off. That means that there's not going to be any additional detection. At the same time, man, these Lurkers, oh my god. They're such an uncommon unit to use, right? And then you see someone like Rogue using them, and it seems so very powerful. I love this. All right. Now, even though we did see a massive hit to the economy here of Protoss, he still has a very solid army left over, and he's going to be able to reacquire that 4th base just fine. Zerg ended up losing 1 base right here on the low ground, but he's been retaking all of the bases on the right-hand side of the map. Oh, man, a couple of changelings pretending to be Zealots. It's actually really nice here for Rogue, right? And he sees exactly what's going on. Now, it's weird, though, to have this big of an army count caught up in these Immortals, right? Immortals obviously phenomenal when it comes to dealing with units on the ground, except for Zerglings and then obviously also Brute Lords. And maybe Mutalisk or something like that. I wouldn't even mind seeing a Muta transition right now. Although that'd be a little crazy. That'd be a little all in. Alright. Now, I think he's mostly just trying to posture here, yeah. There's also an Overlord following this around, so there's no anti-air in this army. Rogue knows exactly where it's located. There we go. Finally, there's a Stalker joining the fray, but he just simply picked up an Overlord and then right-clicked it onto an Immortal, and it's going to be following around that army here as well. Now, man, oh, look at this Observer. That Observer is so important. He knows exactly what's happening. Once again, units are making its way towards the main base. I see additional gateways. I see a fleet beacon as well. Only 1 Stargate for the time being. Now, it looks like this is only going to be part of the army, though. The majority of the Zerg army right now moving once again towards the left-hand side of the map. But even though there's a good amount of units here, there's no detection. Trap is still having those Dark Templar, using them defensively. Really well done. Looks like the Zerg army once again is going to load up at the same time, though. He's going to try and see if he can burrow out of the 3rd or outside of the 3rd base right here of Protoss. 4th base for the time being, uncontested. I think that's what that rest of that Zerg army is looking to get done here as well. Good storms, though, picking up a lot of those Zerglings with relative ease. And even though, yeah, the High Templar are primarily just throwing water balloons when they're not casting their spells, they are in a good spot. Once again, Recall being utilized is going to move on over with some of those units towards the base. High Templar being target fired down. One of the storms does land, and that's going to deflect the majority of the Zerg army once again. And I think this may once again ask him to load up. Now, that Observer placement here has been absolute key. Trap already loading up a Prism here with 1 Archon and then 1 Immortal as well. There's no way anything is gonna get inside of that main base. Oh, maybe that's the reason for the Fleet Beacon. Okay, I love this. So, normally we see someone transitioning right now towards either Tempest, which I think would be a pretty good idea, or even Carriers. But obviously you can still go for the Mothership as well, right? So there she is. It's going to be able to cloak a lot of this army. And if there's one thing that Lurkers are not very good at, it's dealing with cloaked units. And if you cloak the whole army, I mean, it's going to be pretty sweet. Now, obviously, those Overseers are going to be absolutely key. A couple of Zealots right now moving towards the top or right-hand corner. Love that move. A couple of the Lurkers, though, moved over from that 5th base towards the newly acquired 6th. Still, though, that Mothership providing so much value. It's actually getting a lot of kills as well. Corrosive Bowels are now the name of the game as Rogue transitions towards lots of Ravagers. But I'm looking at this army, and there's no way he's going to be able to break through that. Okay, so a lot of drones were killed as well in the top right-hand corner. Both players actually mostly even here. I really like this. Okay. So even though it's been a sick back and forth right here, right? Both players have been pulling rabbits out of hats, rabbits rather out of hats left and right. We don't really have one player significantly ahead right now. Massive Ravager switch. I'm quite surprised by the Ravager switch, to be honest. I guess they're not going to be weak against Immortals. They're not going to be great against the Mothership, though. We'll see how this is going to play out. I don't know if I like that transition, but that's a lot of Ravagers. I guess this army right here for Protoss is specialized in killing Lurkers, but if there's no Lurkers to kill, it's 200 IQ. Nah, I think it's gonna be enough, though, right? Ravagers are not really a unit you want to have in your maxed out unit composition. And once again, Trap immediately sending a couple of those units towards the top right-hand corner. And it feels like I've seen this fight before. A couple of the Lurkers also make their way over there immediately. And this now opens up the opportunity for Trap maybe to take the high ground over here. He needs to be careful, though. Alright, there's going to be a transition right now towards those Carriers. Somehow, some way, a couple of Lurkers managed to make their way over there. I guess they just walked in. It's going to actually force the recall on the majority of that army. So, good job right here by these Lurkers. Even though they may end up dying, likely will still take a couple of probes out on their way as well. Now, keep in mind, the new patch, the new multiplayer patch that I recently made a video about is not live just yet. So, Carriers are not going to have their, their small buffs just yet. Well, the buffs being, nice set of Corrosive Bowels actually connecting with the Mothership. We also now do see that Time Warp coming up. Nice set of Storms landing on the majority of that Zerg army, but there's only so many Immortals remaining right now. We see a mass reinforce here with more and more Roaches, but I still think, yeah, that Rogue Overstate is welcome. Beautiful defense right here by Trap, just barely holding on. There's so much aggression going on, man. What's the APM of both players? Okay, very high, very high. Not quite as high as that game that we saw between Raynor and Gumiho yesterday, but that's still pretty insane. Anyway, so the Carriers, they are still going to have 11 seconds on their Interceptor build time. It's a very long time, of course. Have they been scouted, though? That's the main thing, right? Ooh, well, one of the High Templar actually gets picked off. And you know what? These two Lurkers, they've been a nuisance. They used to have a third brother once upon a time, but here we go. The Carrier hit squad. I like this a lot. This is a thing that we've seen quite a bit lately. So once the first group of Carriers spawn, a lot of Protoss players just simply send them in on their own little hit move, right? This is like a Carrier hit squad that's just designated to killing this one hatchery. There's a couple of Queens marching to the top right-hand corner. They have a lot of energy, yeah. They haven't needed to inject nearly as much, so maybe you can just transfuse this? I'm not entirely sure. At the same time, though, the majority of the Zerg army is smelling blood in the water. It's moving across the map. I see tons and tons of Ravagers. Not a lot of counters here to those Ravagers, to be honest. I mean, on paper, yeah, sure. This is going to be pretty good. Now, we do see the mass recall towards the Mothership, bringing those Carriers here for base defense as well. The Mothership almost dies right there to the Corrosive Bowels. A couple of Zealots come in from the top right-hand corner as well, trying to see if they can intercept some of his army, dodging those Corrosive Bowels, and the Immortals stay alive, but I still like this decision here for Rogue. Keeps the base alive in the top right-hand corner, using those Queens, using those Spore Crawlers. And all things considered, he's still in a pretty good spot. Only just now, though, is when we see that Spire starting up. I kind of wish we had some upgrades here for the Carriers. He does have actually +1 air weapon upgrade, so that's pretty decent. But I would have loved to see a +2 upgrade here already, because that's when I feel like these Carriers especially shine, when we do see a switch towards Corruptors. Now keep in mind, Infested Terrans are being nerfed, right? So maybe that's what Rogue is practicing right here. I don't think Infestors would be a bad transition here whatsoever, but instead he's going to go for Corruptors. Now Corruptors obviously still a phenomenal choice when it comes to dealing with the Protoss air units. It's just that Corruptors are easily counterable as well, right? If you go for a bunch of Stalkers even, they're pretty good against them, but especially Void Rays. So if you'd see a mass switch right now towards air units, I think that Trap is likely looking to maybe mix in a couple of Void Rays as well, because the prismatic alignment deals so much damage there to those Corruptors. Still though, right, if you look at this army right here of Protoss and we delete the air units, which those Corruptors are looking to do, I don't really see that much. I don't really see that much of an army here anymore. One Dark Templar, recognizing that the Spore Crawler moved over. It's going to be able to get quite a few kills here before it will be responded to. Yeah, look at that. Rogue is going to send his whole army up there. Dude, that is a Dark Templar with a story. Although I'm afraid it's not going to be able to tell it. 7 drones there and pulling the whole army apart. Now this is a Corruptor hit squad as well, okay? We saw the Carrier hit squad already. This Corruptor hit squad is looking to see if they can go after a couple of those carriers and then also, of course, that mothership. I'm a little worried here for Trap, to be honest. I don't think he wants to be this aggressive with the army. I mean, he's exploring, trying to see if he can push back the creep. But he's one bad engagement away from losing this game. Oh my god, and here we go. The Corruptors swoop in. They want to go after the mothership. There's the mothership gone. Corruptors do have to back up right now from those psionic storms. Mothership taking about 7.5 years to rebuild. And that's a really expensive unit to lose as well. That's 400. Very heavy in supply too. Newly acquired base here in the northern section of the map. I think that's maybe what Trap is trying to get done. He's playing pretty conservatively right now, but I really would like him to add on more units. I don't really see him transitioning towards anything right now, right? I mean, he's adding on some gateway units, but that's not going to cut it. Once again, a couple of Zealots make their way over here. Good defense by Rogue. Picks up those units that are trying to go for the run-by with ease. So usually I like to see Protoss transition towards like a Death Bowl, right? But he doesn't have the money for it. Rogue has been harassing the economy here for a very long time. There's not that many bases, but there should still be enough to create at least a stronger army than what he's got right now. Rogue, though, he's got primarily Roach and Hydras, I guess. A couple of Ravagers and then a bunch of Corruptors as well. Not that high-tech of an army. Once again, massive storm goes down on those Corruptors. Another massive storm goes down on all of those Roaches and Hydras as well. That does mean that he needs to be extremely careful. The one Archon right there, positioned on the right-hand side as well. And you know what? This fight, it seemed like the one that was supposed to kill Trap absolutely decimated Rogue's army. This is what Trap was looking for, right? 66 Zerglings, though, coming up as a follow-up. There's not a lot of Storm available anymore. I don't know if Trap wants to move forward. He doesn't know exactly how much economy there is. I mean, obviously, he's been harassing left and right for the majority of the game, but he knows that there's still a lot of bases. Yeah, backing up right now, certainly the smartest move. You need to, once again, get energy in this High Templar. Without Sonic Storm, nothing's gonna happen. Okay. Man, this is a sick game. Oh, man. I said it time and time again, but this makes me excited for the future of StarCraft. There's so much variety. Oh, man, there's once again that one Lurker. How many High Templar have gone down here? 21! Oh my god! 21 High Templar have gone down in this game. Imagine, like, even 5 of them stayed alive here. Would have been an absolute game changer. Well, now the Corruptors are feeling brave. They're gonna continue target firing down those carriers. Not a whole lot of them remain, but there's no anti-air available here for Protoss other than those carriers themselves. A couple of Stalkers are being warped in as well. I think that these Corruptors may overextend just a little bit. Zealots once again ready to go for the counterattack. Zerglings now going to town inside of the mineral line as well. And these Corruptors, I think they're going to shift Q their way back home. At the same time, the Immortal Archon Bowl ready to move forward. There's still that one Prism here too. Love the addition of the Oracle there, giving that revelation here and giving the vision here for that Protoss army to see exactly where Zerg is located. Doesn't look, make it, okay, hold up. So, while you look at these fights, right, doesn't it make you feel really incompetent? Because I've been playing StarCraft for so long, these players are so stupid good. Oh, nice Stasis Wards as well, shutting down the majority of this, but now he's fighting on creep, and that means that the Queens can come in and fight as well. Carriers don't have a lot of Interceptors remaining anymore, and Trap, yeah, eventually, he's gonna be forced to GG out. What an insanely cool game there. But seriously though, right? There's so much happening here. Both players are thinking so very quickly, and they're so quick when it comes to moving and decision making in this game. Really cool stuff. Now, I know that some of you are looking at this and are like, yo, Loco, once again, a Zerg player is winning. I can't believe it. Do you have a hidden agenda? I see the YouTube comments, guys. No, I don't watch these games before I cast them, so I have no idea what's gonna happen, but Yeah, it turns out it's a Zerg player who wins here. Rather than getting upset, though, I think we should all just admire the skill right here that it takes. I mean, this time around, right, there's no one who's going to be able to complain about infestors, right? I've seen a lot of complaints about infestors over the last few weeks in the comment section. Ever since Blizzard announced that they're going to nerf them, I've seen a lot of people pinpointing exactly why they are overpowered. But in this game, not a single infestor was made, and Rogue still makes it look pretty straightforward. Beautiful game here. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notifications as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright. And I will see you once again in the next one.